I mean, I think in your quest for symmetry, you're like missing the most fundamental point here. The direction the Democrats were taking was violating these kind of core rights and norms. I did think in a way that could hurt my kids and in a way that just is unacceptable.
Okay. Sorry, I was thinking of different ways to myself. Okay. Every single time I have this thing where it's like, I think that Republicans are disgusting. It's like, why? I think that the statements that Comer has made in front of Congress, I think all the things that Donald Trump, Bondi and Bovee, Cash Patel and Bongino, this back and forth, the Epstein files, RFK Jr., and the insanity that's been going on with the Health and Human Services Department, all of these insane things going on. And it's like, but did you see this article? And it's like, I think that the right actually has a bigger tent than the left because the right, because of the homogeneity of media messaging control that they have from top to bottom. Like we can say the left has a big tent, but the right literally got the and I would have bet so much money of this against this ever happening. The right got the Silicon Valley dipshits to actually play into, and all the crypto bros and everything who are watching Donald Trump support crypto, who has no idea, you know, what a blockchain even is. I feel like the right incorporated a ton of new people. You saw a lot of the, you know, Hispanic vote in Miami and Florida start to sway more conservative than they thought they had. You saw young people, even young men, kind of sway a lot more conservative than they thought they could.
I think, dude, I mean, you just said the magic word, right? Like, I mean, that in terms of like the massive self-owns on the left, the way that they've lost the young male vote is like an unbelievable self-own.
It's not a self-own, though. It's an own insofar as the Republicans control the media apparatus and can demonstrate and do whatever message that they want. That's insane to me. It's crazy that
the messaging in, and I'm not saying this is like the politicians necessarily, but if you look at like the messaging within like the left media sphere for the past 10 years, there was an article that came out recently that said something like girls are now achieving more than boys in every area in academia except one. And here's why that's a problem. That was essentially the title. And it's like, whoa, holy shit. You just said that other than math, girls are outperforming boys in every other subject. And it's a problem that they're not outperforming them in math. That's the fucking article. And in a world where that's like, you know, the mainstream leaning opinion in left-leaning circles getting published in publications, yeah, you're going to have a male vote problem. Like, I mean, this isn't fucking rocket science. If you think David Hodge is going to solve your fucking male vote problem, you've lost your mind. And then they kicked him out for a gender quota, which is hilarious because it was a gender quota that required a man. So it wasn't even like a good reason to kick him out, but they thought a gender quota would be like a good way to kick someone out, that'd be a palatable way to kick people out. There's an undercurrent on the left that really does believe that we should still be in this world of de facto or in fact quotas based on race and gender to ameliorate historic wrongs. And it pisses people off and it lost them a ton of male support.
Okay. Sorry, I was thinking of different ways to myself. Okay. This is an issue that I run into every single time. I've had this on Piers Morgan. I've had this every single center, every single conservative I've talked to. Every single time I run into this issue, okay? I have this thing where it's like, I think that Republicans are disgusting. It's like, why? I think that the statements that Comer has made in front of Congress, I think that the position that Jim Jordan occupies on all these panels in the House of the relentless investigation, I think all the things that Donald Trump, Bondi and Bovee, fucking Dumb and Dumber, Cash Patel and Bongino, this back and forth, the Epstein files, the insanity that fucking Huckabee's wild statements attached to Trump related to fucking Israel, like all of these people that are counter RFK Jr. And the insanity that's been going on with the Health and Human Services Department, all of these insane things going on. And it's like, okay, but did you see this article about men and women in school? And it's like, how am I possibly, like, I'm fucked at that point. If we want to say that political parties taking positions on things should cause them to lose or gain votes, like, how the fuck is it that the party that supported Andrew Tate has any women that vote for them at all, right? Like, the idea that, like, the left can lose votes on every single article and every single tweet and every single random social media post, I don't believe that. I think that what we're talking about, I think the only reason you even know that article exists is because some conservative tweeted it, and because Charlie Kirk retweeted it, and because Steve Bannon and Nick Fuentes and then Donald Trump and then Candace Owens and every other person like cycles this stuff. And then you're in this world, it's like, okay, well, Donald Trump might have said this bad thing, but holy shit, I saw this article at The Atlantic and they said over there that like boys and girls might be gender identity confused. And now I'm not really sure who I should vote for. And then it's like, you look at like the average Democrat, like you look at the average like center-left Democrat, like most center-left Democrats don't give a fuck about any of these issues. You're going to like the most extreme, like people posting articles in the media and stuff. And like, it's not even a majority position of anybody in the party. And somehow the Democrats, it's fair that the Democrats have to answer for that. Well, the Republicans seem to elude any responsibility for the Republican side. I don't know. That's just mind-blowing to me.
I mean, I think in your quest for symmetry, you're like missing the most fundamental point here, which is that I said to you now a few times in a few different places that one of my concerns was that the left seemed to be in favor of discriminating against my children in various ways. Now, there's a lot of stuff you brought up I agree with. There's a lot of stuff that I really don't like about Trump. And in fact, I don't know if you recall this, but I've never even voted for a Republican. I voted left my entire life, right? I just sat out the last election. So like, I am a gettable vote. The problem is when I say like, this is a self-own, what I'm trying to do is be helpful. I'm honestly saying like, I think the left needs to do some soul searching on this issue. Like they need to do some soul searching about what the fuck to do about the crazy tanky wing.
Wait,
like,
so what is the soul searching that like no more crazy people can write articles? Or I don't understand the soul searching. Like Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens, I don't think either of these people believe we went to the moon, and they're semi-prominent voices on the right. Like what is the soul, and when the left has the soul search?
I think the left needs to start being clear about what it's for and what it's against. And I think that like,
but the right isn't clear about what they're for against. Is that the asymmetry?
The asymmetry is not going to be, isn't going to fucking matter, because what I'm saying is that the thing that was concerning to me about this policy is intensely personal, because I have young children who would be discriminated against in a world of affirmative action. So I would prefer them not to be in that world because they're my kids.
Do you think, hold on, wait, were you more worried about, go on, sorry, go ahead.
You can bring up a billion fucking things, right? But like the pitch that Republicans were making last election was that it was, holy shit, this seems unfair. This seems crazy. Doesn't that seem crazy to you? And it was a pretty good pitch. It worked. But a lot of that stuff is fixable. It's just not a thing the Democrats have to do. It's a policy choice.
Do you think that affirmative action represented a greater threat to your kids than the totality of, or the direction of the current like Republican, I guess like regime?
My kids particularly?
Sure, yeah.
Yes. But that's because I'm incredibly privileged in my profession, and there are a lot of the stuff that you would bring up has no impact on me.
So you think in your life you were legitimately worried that your kids' futures were going to be fucked because of affirmative action?
I think that in a world where it is legal and acceptable and a thing that people are doing and celebrating, to have policies that are discriminatory on the basis of race, on the basis of gender, and always in the same direction, that worries me for my kids who would then be impacted by those policies.
So you think that you genuinely believe there's like a thing that's like in the present, like the forefront of your mind. You thought that there's a good chance, there's a decent chance, not like a 0.001%, but there's a decent chance that your kids are going to be severely negatively impacted by affirmative action going forward if Democrats would have had their way, I guess.
Did you follow the affirmative action case?
The one with Harvard and the stuff, right?
Harvard? I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on it, but like in, God, I'm trying to get my memory right. In the First Circuit, the Trump administration appeared and said, hey, court, look at this data. We think this is de facto discrimination. This is a very bad thing that's happening. And then administration changes. It goes to the Supreme Court. Biden's lawyers show up and say, we've looked at the data. We've changed our position. We're cool with this now. So, and like, look, there's a deep argument you can make about whether the data was good enough or bad enough. And that's an interesting thing, but it's kind of in the weeds. But that's a pretty serious change in position. Similarly, like in NASDAQ, there was a rule that they were pushing forward in NASDAQ that was going to have board membership have to have quotas based on diversity. And it was chugging along until Trump won. And then they withdrew it. I think it was in the Fifth Circuit and being appealed, and they withdrew because they knew that when they went to the Supreme Court, Trump's lawyers were going to be on the other side. So yeah, in this area, the Trump administration made a big impact. And there's other areas where they've done helpful things, though I will share your frustration that they often do it for like the most batshit fucking reason. Like the example I give is when Robert Kennedy came out, he said, we should ban cell phones in school. And I was like, yes, we should. That's a great move. And then he's like, because they're fucking magic radio waves that'll cause cancer in your brain. You're like, well, that's not the reason why we should ban them. That's insane. But it's a good policy. It's just for the fucking wrong reason. So it's not like there aren't things about the Trump administration that I think are good things. There's stuff that's been good. He's just done a lot of fucking awful shit
sure,
too.
I'm just, okay. Tell me if you disagree with either of these two statements, then the thing that follows, okay? And I don't know your life, I don't know you personally, but my understanding is affirmative action helped the most white women, and it hurt the most probably Asian men. Now that affirmative action is supposedly gone in some way, that means it's probably going to help Asian men more than anything else, because now they don't have to, I guess, fight against the same high SAT score requirements to go to school. And then all the benefits from white women are not going to be as present. So unless like all of your kids are Chinese boys, am I missing something? Like, does the revoking of affirmative action even help your children at all? Or
it definitely was not white women to my understanding, at least from the data that was presented in that court case. But I mean, if you have something else you want me to look at, I'm happy to. But even if that was true, and like I said, I that's not the numbers that I've seen. But even if that were true, to give a preview of the argument I'm going to make, when I talk to a convoy about socialism, there are also just certain things that are wrong. Like, I am not in favor of discriminating on the basis of race. It's not a thing that I think should be legal. And I don't think it should be legal if your reasons are considered good. Just like I don't think that we should remove all property rights from people in America because socialism might have some kind of positive impact on the quality of life. I think there are actually these baseline rights that matter, which is why when Trump shits on the fucking First Amendment, and I apologize, I know you brought up the law firm thing. Pisco made this point and he's right. It's a little delicate for me to talk about that, so I'm trying to skirt that a little bit more than I did in the past, just because I probably shouldn't talk about it as much as I was willing to. But like, there are certain things that are just worth defending and worth being upset about. The direction the Democrats were taking was violating these kind of core rights and norms. I did think in a way that could hurt my kids, and in a way that just is unacceptable. Now,
just curious, just as a random thing,
the Trump administration isn't violating these fucking norms, and I hope he loses for it.
Okay, sure. I'm just curious. Have you ever uttered that statement when Biden was in office, that there's a thing that you probably don't feel safe or comfortable talking about anymore because it'd have a direct negative real world impact on you from the administration?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, sorry. From the administration, the comma changed it. Sorry. From the administration, no, but that's not exactly why I don't want to talk about the law firm thing. It's just that that's my world. I know these people. My comments should probably not be public on that. But yeah, I think during like 2020 to 2024, for example, I would not have and did not go on shows like this to talk publicly about politics because I thought it would be very, very risky career-wise. That's not from the administration. So that's why I changed it when you added that. But yeah, I felt very constrained in my behavior during the Biden years.
Even though the height of all of the censorship and everything online was under Trump, and it all kind of receded under Biden. Do you acknowledge that?
Well, I think that there's the kind of censorship that I'm worried about, and this is why I said you pointed out that like by the administration was such a central point, was in the world that I occupied, it was there was complete groupthink on politics. Like in 2016 when Trump won, and I won't say where I was working, like it was like a day of mourning. Everybody, like people left work, like people like didn't come back for like the rest of the week. Like it was understood that everybody was supposed to be upset except for like the 2% known conservative. Like there was a total uniformity of politics. Flash forward today, nobody where I work talks about politics because it's understood that there's people with different positions. And that norm is a lot better. Now, I don't know if that's because I changed where I work or just the world changed, but certainly where I was working circa, 2020, 2024, it was, there was a strong norm that if you were not espousing a strongly left-leaning view, you should probably shut up about politics. And that I did. And I have a lot of left-leaning views, so I was happy to talk about those. But my more like right-leaning or centrist views, I should certainly shut the fuck up about. But that's not because of the administration. That's because of the culture of political uniformity and censorship that was prevalent at that time, at least in my experience.
Okay. I don't know where you want to go from here.